final, and then the next three fastest non-automatic qualifying times. This heat featuring in lane number 6, LSU with the number 4 time in the country this year.
Well, they've been running fantastic all season long, have gone into 38.87 5 times, excuse me. They will be the team to beat, but I think if there's a team that can beat them, they're in this heat as well. As we take a look down there to the lower right-hand part of the screen, that's the University of Houston. They have beaten LSU not once but twice this season, once at the Texas Relays and again at an LSU home meet. But Houston, always a powerhouse. They'll anchor with Sean Maswangani. He'll also run the 100 meters and the 200 meters open. But when you're getting coached by Leroy Burrell and Carl Lewis, you always put a great 4x1 team on the field.
Yeah, a couple of guys who know how to pass the baton, which is what this is all about. Many of these teams with great speed, but if you don't pass the batons efficiently, it is not going to go well for you. You see LSU there in lane 6, Houston in 7. Also watch for Arkansas in lane 5. Always gamers, always managing to get through into the finals in big meets. Finally calling them to their marks. And this 4-day collegiate extravaganza is about to get underway. That is Jordan Booker, who will start for Houston. For LSU, Dylan Peebles. And the spectacular Terrence Laird for the Tigers of LSU will be on anchor. He will be busy today anchoring this relay, running the 100 and the 200. And hold up. Lane number 2, Coppin, or Norfolk State, didn't move, may not have heard the instructions. So they will re-rack. Remember, these teams and all the individuals got here through 2 regional competitions that were held 2 weeks ago. The West Regional held in College Station at Texas A&M, and the Eastern Regional held in Jacksonville, Florida. Top 24 teams qualifying in the relays. There is no false start charged. And of course, we know now at every level of track and field, there are no false starts and having the athlete stay in the race. One and done. So there's Kai Cole, who is the leadoff runner for Norfolk State. He will start in lane 2. Ideally, you want to be one of the first 2 teams across the finish line, so you automatically qualify into Friday's final. From the inside, Norfolk State, then Coppin State, Purdue, Arkansas, LSU in 6, Houston, Georgia, and USC on the outside.
Well, Dylan Peebles made up the stagger real well in that Houston team just outside of them. There you see LSU really blazing in the middle of the track.
Was not the greatest pass for Houston. Now it goes from Travis Collins to Christian Hamberlin. Now Houston moving nicely through the turn, as is Arkansas and LSU. They're almost directly abreast. This is going to be a tough fight for the top 2 marks, or the top 2 finishes. It's LSU. Now here comes Houston. It's going to be LSU and Houston. Terrence Laird with a little dialogue to Sean Maswangani. So it is LSU who wins the heat. Unofficially 38.66. Houston second, so they will automatically qualify. And we've seen Terrence Laird fired up before. Here is the first pass.
Well, that's Dylan Peebles. He passes there to Noah Williams, a 400-meter star, and they've already got a lead on Houston as they go into the final exchange there. Nobody better on the final leg than Terrence Laird. He has been running people down all season long. You can be behind and give Terrence Laird that baton, and he will run people down. And I don't think Terrence Laird was really saying anything to Sean Maswangani from Houston. He was just looking to his right, making sure that he was clear. But Dennis Shaver said they were going to tighten up those, they were going to play it a little safe in the qualifying rounds, and then he was going to stretch it out in the finals and really try to create some distance in those exchange zones. And
now it's time to make more history as we get to the second heat of the 4x1.
All right, John, we know that LSU and Houston will be in Friday's final. Now the second of 3 heats to determine the next 2. And this heat featuring North Carolina A&T, and they have really come on strong in a number of events, especially the 4x400 relay, which we will talk about a little bit later. They will be in lane 7. Just inside of them, it will be the team from Texas A&M, perennially in the hunt and in the mix for the title in the 4x1 and the 4x4.
Well, Emmanuel Yeboah, well, he'll go first for Texas A&M, but go back to that North Carolina A&T team. When you talk about LSU coming in here as the overwhelming favorite, they brought more athletes and qualified more people than anybody else, but I think if there's going to be anybody that makes a dent in that LSU point total, it could be North Carolina A&T, because they line up in a lot of the same events. North Carolina A&T, they got a reputation for being a great 400-meter school, won the indoor 4x400-meter championship, but here they are with the second fastest 4x100-meter time of the season.
So once again, ideally, you want to be first or second in this heat, then you automatically qualify for Friday's final. But in the absence of that, right now you need to be under 39 seconds if you want to advance. Looking for the team in lane 3. It appears as though Arizona State did not report. Lane 3 is empty.
Arizona State, their 4th member of the 4x100 meter team, got a late COVID positive test, and he was not able to make the flight. I actually flew over with the Arizona State team from Tempe to here, and they were 1 man short. It's disappointing for them because they ran 39.67 to get through to qualify for this meet.
So lane 1 open, lane 3 not occupied. Arizona State did not start. So 7 teams. In this second of 3 semifinal heats. Sam Houston State in 2, then we go to 4 with Iowa, Ohio State, then Texas A&M in 6, then North Carolina A&T, TCU, and Kentucky.
Well, TCU looks like they're off to a good start. They started off with T.J. Brock. They were the Big 12 champion this season.
Pretty even in the middle of the track right now. Looks like North Carolina A&T and Texas A&M as we expected. A&T running a great 3rd leg by Daniel Stokes. Then to Javante Harding. North Carolina A&T has things well in hand, but here comes A&T. And then on the inside, it is Texas A&M trying to hang on. And TCU coming up late to maybe grab that 2nd spot. It was very, very close. It is A&T at 39 flat, and then A&M TCU just in 3rd by 100th of a second.
Well, that's a Kareem Sirleaf. He'll hand off to Randolph Ross late in the zone there to Randolph Ross, and Texas A&M had the early lead. And this is here we see the 3rd exchange. North Carolina A&T was behind at this point, and it was only by the strength and the running from Javante Harding that brought them into first. That's Jace Comic for Texas A&M bringing home the anchor.
So A&T wins the 2nd semifinal heat and books their ticket to Friday's final. A&M also in there at 2nd, and then just 100th of a second back is TCU. Now it's a matter, is there a time strong enough at 39.24? I don't believe that it is, because the 4th and 5th places in heat number, 3rd and 4th places in heat number 1 were under 39 seconds. So we'll have to take a look with 1 more semifinal heat to run. That's the importance of finishing 1st and 2nd, and you could see the difference in the way that the baton was passed. That is Randolph Ross, son of head coach Dwayne Ross, who in his day was a pretty good hurdler for the U.S. All right, we move forward to the 3rd and final semifinal heat, waiting for Florida State to get their leadoff runner back into sixth. So let's take a look at Texas. That's Daniel Garland will be their leadoff runner.
Well, they've had a strong year, very consistent. Edric Florial said this team was ready to run fast, and I asked him if he was going to make any adjustments here in the qualifying, and he said nope, he's going to let it all hang out because he thinks that lane choice is very important. He wants to run his best team and get the best lane possible going into the finals.
Checking with our crack statistician, Rich Benoit, TCU is on the bubble right now. They have the second or the third fastest non-automatic qualifying time. As we look at lane 6, Florida State, this is Taylor Banks will be their leadoff runner.
And Florida State has run extremely fast this year. They got a great anchor, Jovan Martin, leads the country for the best time in the 100 meters. It was windy, but he ran faster than everybody else. There you see him out in lane 6. They have gone 38.67, and they've just got a young man, Kassan James. We saw him, it was over 2 years ago, we saw him compete at a high level clear back in Birmingham, Alabama, and he went through a series of injuries to get back on the track. There's Jovan Martin, but Kassan James is finally healthy, and he gives this Florida State Seminole team a really big boost there on that second leg.
It's Micaiah Harris next to him for the Longhorns. So you want to finish first or second to automatically qualify, but if you're going to finish third, you've got to run faster than 39.24. Because that is the bubble time for TCU from heat number 2, semifinal number 2. All the teams have checked in for this third and final semifinal heat. From the inside, BYU, Mississippi State, and Oregon. Then Texas, Florida State, and Texas Tech, and Clemson, North Carolina State on the outside.
That's a good run for Taylor Banks from Florida State.
Texas had a very rough handoff. They're well behind. Florida State passes first, and running well through the turn is Dondria Swint. And also Clemson on the outside in lane 8. Florida State leading, but here comes Clemson. It's going to be Florida State, Clemson, and Texas finishing third. Did they run fast enough? They had to be under 39.24 in order to advance. They did it. Texas will be in, TCU will be out, and Texas Tech may sneak in.
Well, look how far back the Texas runner-up, Daniel Garland, way back. Texas had a long ways to go. Oregon on the inside. You hear a lot of people whooping and hollering. It looks like Oregon will have a chance to get through there. But there you see Florida State on the final exchange. JoJo Martin just went out a little in the yellow line on the bottom of your screen, the track. I do see a yellow flag up. We may see a disqualification here.
They were really, really going close to the end. Remember, the baton must be passed inside the zone, and they were very close to the end of it. So far, it is Florida State winning the heat and automatically qualifying, but we will have to see how that is adjudicated with that yellow flag. But for now, LSU had the fastest time in this heat. Florida State winning it at 38.75. Clemson second. Texas and Texas Tech both under the bubble time that TCU had, but that may all be changed when they decide whether Florida State passed that baton inside the zone. And we will keep you apprised of what exactly happened there as we look at the at least preliminary advance to finals. LSU with the fastest time of the day at 38.66, and you had to run 39.14 in order to